As the chair of the REACH Committee, I want to welcome all who are joining us tonight, both virtually and in person at the National Banquet. As we gather for this celebration, we begin with gratitude. Gratitude for the land and for the Indigenous people who have cared for it since time immemorial. We acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional and unceded territories of our Indigenous people across Canada, and we honor the enduring presence and contributions of our First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Today, we are reminded that the principles that were important to Sensei Shintani of cooperation, mutual support, collective responsibility, and shared care have long been lived by our Indigenous communities. And we recognize the importance of moving towards a future that respects the land, upholds equity, and supports all people. Let this acknowledgement be more than words. May it serve as a reminder and a call to build relationships grounded in justice, trust, and truth. Today, we demonstrated the legacy of Sensei Shintani and the Memorial Tournament. Congratulations to all who competed, judged, and cheered on our competitors from across Canada. Tonight, we are here to continue that celebration of the SWKKF and the legacy of Sensei Shintani. The Shintani Wado Kai Federation aims to be the premier traditional karate and Shindo organization of North America. This can only be accomplished through the work of our highly skilled and dedicated instructors in developing unparalleled character, skill, and pride in our karate students. The SWKKF needs all of us to actively support and promote the Federation and our clubs. Our members are the backbone of this Federation. Without their spirit of generosity, care, and dedication, the SWKKF would not and will not survive. In that spirit, it is important to recognize our generous members who embody the SWKKF core, the values of honor, excellence, community, kindness, humility, and respect. As we begin, it is my honor to introduce our SWKKF president, Sensei Dennis LeBay. Sensei Dennis is a ninth Dan and started his karate journey as a student of Sensei Shintani in 1972 in Welland, Ontario. In June of 1997, Sensei Shintani formed the SWKKF Senate. Sensei Dennis held the position of Secretary General for 10 years. In May of 2000, Sensei Shintani passed away, and Sensei Dennis became the president of the SWKKF. Sensei Dennis continues to train, teach seminars, attend tournaments, and all of those black belt gradings across Canada. Please join me in welcoming Sensei Dennis LeBay.
Hi, everyone. I am honored to join you tonight. And on behalf of the SWKKF Senate, the Tournament Committee, and the REACH Committee, I would like to welcome all of you to our 9th Annual REACH Awards and Post-Shintani Memorial Tournament celebration. I would like to thank all of the instructors, karateka, judges, and parents for an amazing day. And a special thank you to all of your volunteers who worked so hard to put on this week's events as we celebrate together.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sensei Dennis. We previously mentioned that our SWKK core values of honor, excellence, community, kindness, humility, and respect. And over the past couple of years, we have been profiling senior black belts, many who have had direct instruction from Sensei Shintani. These videos for me are like the cherry on top. I absolutely love hearing these reflections. So to kick off one of these reflections, we asked Sensei Chris Reynolds, who is also one of our Senate members, to share a few thoughts and reflections on the early years of his karate. Sensei Chris Reynolds is currently a Rokudan who began training karate in 1995 under Sensei Darren Marshall when Lindsay Wado Kai Karate opened the first SWKK dojo in the Kawartha Lakes. 10 years later, when his instructors had moved to different areas, he would take over as the chief instructor of the dojo and grow it into Karate Kawartha Lakes. Sensei Chris has been a member of and manager for the national team, has sat on many of our SWKKF committees, including chairing both the Shindo Committee and the Bunkai Committee. In 2024, he was appointed to serve on the SWKKF Senate. Let's hear what Sensei Chris has to say.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sensei Chris Reynolds from Karate Kawartha Lakes. First, I'd like to congratulate all of the Reach winners from this year. Your dedication and contributions to the organization are so appreciated, and the amazing impact that you have on so many people. You should all be very, very proud. I started karate in Lindsay, Ontario in 1995. As a Q belt, I remember often after classes or while traveling to tournaments, hearing stories about Sensei Levier and Sensei Shintani from my instructors. All of us would hang off of every word. I was immediately curious how my instructors, who I thought were amazing, had higher ranked black belts like Sensei Shintani and Sensei Rick that they revered. Before I had the opportunity to meet either Sensei Shintani or Sensei Levier, I almost expected that they could walk on water. I'm sad to say that I only got to meet Sensei Shintani a handful of times. The first time was as a yellow belt at the 4-degree tournament. Most of the encounters that I had with him were simply me asking if he would sign my belt or a Shintani calendar. It was unbelievable to me. He was such a celebrity in my mind that he would take the time to talk to a Q belt kid. You know, clearly he would have many higher ranked people that were far more important lined up waiting to speak to him, that he wouldn't have time. But that never felt like the case. Every time that I approached him, he was so kind, and it always felt like he had all the time in the world. Never felt rushed. I've often thought about what separated Sensei Shintani from everybody else in every karate organization or martial arts organization expanding at the speed that it was over the 80s and 90s, and what set him apart. He was so impactful to so many people because his karate was amazing. His martial art, his ability was amazing. That's for sure. But there were other people who had that as well, and they didn't build the same following that was as strong as Sensei Shintani created. So I would think about what made that difference. And I think having that ability, but combining it with the honest pursuit of honoring somebody other than himself, is what made that big difference. And what I mean by that is if you listen to Sensei Shintani on the kata videos, he talks about how important Otsuka Sensei was. And it appeared to me anyways that he would put so much into his karate and his students, not for himself, but for Otsuka Sensei and for the students themselves. He wasn't doing it to promote himself. He had no ego. He had no insecurity. He just had honest desire to continue Sensei Otsuka's legacy and to do what was best for his students. When I think about the interactions that I've had with his most senior black belts as well, like Sensei LeBay and Sensei Maddie, Sensei Levier, Sensei Perkins, Sensei Atkinson, the list is much longer than that. But in every case, their effort is also not for themselves. It's for the memory and legacy of Sensei Shintani and for the students in the organization. Not even if, but especially if there's some young 15-year-old yellow belt. And that honesty and lack of personal ego is very uncommon in the world. It's very special. And I think it's the core of how enduring Sensei Shintani's legacy is and continues to be. And the Shintani Wado Kai Karate Federation is very lucky because we have such a concentrated reserve of people who have that motivation, that the students that have never had the opportunity to meet Sensei Shintani and never will still get the benefit of his way from the people that he left in charge of the organization. And we owe a lot of thanks to them. So to the people that I mentioned earlier, and to all the other direct students of Sensei Shintani that share the stories about him and share his experience and their experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei Chris, for sharing your thoughts on Sensei Shintani's legacy. Next, we would like to recognize those who have been graded to the top ranks within our SWKKF.
Any black belt who are going to the rank of Rokudan, Shichidan, and Hachidan would be evaluated by the Senate, usually at June Senate meeting. Since last year's Reach Award, our karate black belt grading going to the rank of Rokudans were Chris Reynolds from Lindsay, Lauren Fass from St. Catharines, and Bill Hines from Millwood in Alberta. Our Shindo black belt grading going to the rank of Shichidan, Michelle Gasling from Hearst, Chris Reynolds from Lindsay, Shelley McGregor from Whitecourt, Alberta, and going to Hachidan, Sensei Bruce Perkins from Simcoe.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sensei Dennis. Now for our REACH Awards. REACH stands for Recognizing Extraordinary Achievements, Contribution, and Hard Work. Members were invited to nominate others under 5 categories of leadership, contribution, ambassador, and the male and female athlete category. We thank all of those who took the time to send in their nominations, and many thanks to those who sat on the selection committee for going through all of those nominations. Let's start with the Leadership Award. The Leadership Award recognizes an individual who demonstrated outstanding leadership and effective mentorship within the SWKKF. Sensei Dennis will present this year's award recipient.
This year's recipient is always available to support and encourage. They are believers in growth and change, a forwarding thinker, and they make things happen. They may have developed a skill assessment tool for each Q belt and starts training karate coaches from green belt and up. As one karateka reflects, this sensei is a true leader. They saw a need to honor one of our own and created the Sensei Jeff Gervin Memorial Funds in his honor. This sensei runs their club, as well as chairs the National Recognition Committee and the Scholarship Selection Committee. Please join me in congratulating Sensei Kelsey Ramore as this year's Leaders Awards recipient.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Sensei Kelsey, for all that you bring to the SWKKF organization. All right, our ambassador. Our ambassador award is our second award of the evening. This award recognizes an individual with a strong, positive voice who advocates, raises awareness, or enhances the image of the SWKKF in the greater community.
This year's recipient is very involved in their local dojo since moving to the area. They are one of the key organizers for an annual local train cleanup day where they pick up trash and clean up the local community trails. As one nominator states, the club would not be the same without this nominee's amazing spirit and her encouragement of all students, no matter their abilities or rank. This person makes everyone feel special. This nominee is a key organizer of the Shintani Symposium held on an island in southeastern Ontario, and for launching the SWKKF Ambassador Pilot Program, which encourages connection and involvement from many dojos, not just their own. Please join me to congratulate Sensei Annika DeWitt as this year's Ambassador Awards recipient.
Congratulations, Sensei Annika. Our second highlight video is from Sensei Denise Baxter. Sensei Denise began her training in 1993 in Constant Lake First Nation and Hearst, Ontario, and is a student of Sensei Michelle Goslin. She co-leads a club with Sensei Nico Goslin of Thunder Bay Shintani Wado Kai, and has achieved the rank of Godan. Sensei Denise is a proud mother of two who both have studied Shintani Wado Kai since they were young, and they now hold the rank of Shodan and Nidan.
Bonjour, Denise Baxter, Indigenous, Makoto Dem, Martin Falls, and Donjaba. I'm here today in the city of Thunder Bay, which is located on the traditional territory of Fort William First Nation, part of the Anishinaabe Nation, located in the treaty area of the Robinson-Superior Treaty that was signed in 1850. We are located on the north shore of Lake Superior. It is still a little bit covered with ice at the moment, but spring is just around the corner. I was asked today to share some of my memories of the times that I had a chance to visit with Hanshu Masero Shintani, or Sensei Shintani. It was certainly early in my martial arts career as a member of the Shintani Federation. I started karate when I was 25. I had my first class in the community center in Constance Lake First Nation, which is just west of Hearst, Ontario. From there, I spent 5 years training in Hearst before I moved to Thunder Bay, where we opened a club here, and have continued training since then. I really wanted to think about the kinds of opportunities that I had as a younger person, but a new karate student, and the times that I had a chance to interact with Sensei Shintani. I would say that those times were special. They were certainly very focused. We were training. It was very intense. There was a lot going on, and I think as a Q belt, the nice thing about martial arts is you learn what you can based on what you know at that time, and then every time you get a chance to revisit that training, you learn a little bit more, and that was certainly the case. One of the things that I really want to talk about today, though, was the opportunities that I had when I went to the national tournament, which at that time was held in St. Catharines, Ontario. And I remember one particular spring when I was there, and we were sitting outside, and Sensei Shintani was sitting outside on one of the benches, and he was using the fabric glue, and he was writing on kids' colored belts, the kanji for Wado Kai. And it was really fantastic because he was just so quietly working. He was talking with students. He was asking questions about them. I remember him, listening intently, but also very much engaged with the young students. And, I was a kindergarten teacher at the time. And so I was just sitting just a little bit over to his right while just sort of having a chance to watch this whole interaction. And I think what has really stuck with me about that is the intention at which he spoke with his students, regardless of rank, regardless of age, and the intentness that he listened with. He was very encouraging with the students. He was very quiet. They were all very engaged in communicating with him while he was working on their various belts. And then they would have to sit there while he had the next student's belt. So there was a large number of students waiting for their belts to dry, but also listening to him speak to all the students as they came up. And, I think for me, one of the biggest learnings that I had in that moment was every single student, it's important to engage, pay attention, listen to them, ask questions, ask wondering questions about how they're doing, what they liked about today, how they felt about the day. And recognizing that as those young people, have grown up and, hopefully continued on in karate, certainly those memories are memories that they also would have about spending time with Sensei Shintani. And for me, it was, a lesson that I think I've carried on in recognizing the importance of listening, the importance of I think the attention that we do place on our students so that they can help grow and they can help achieve the goals that they are working towards. And so I just wanted to share that little bit. I know we spend a lot of time with students every day. Just as often as we're teaching with students, we may not always talk with our students. So I think I just wanted to share that. as a reminder of the legacy that he's left, and certainly the importance that he placed on speaking with his younger students. Miigwech, thank you.
Thank you, Sensei Denise. The Male and Female Athlete Award recognizes two individuals who excel as karateka through their dedication to training, attending tournament and clinic opportunities, and achieving excellence as a result of this dedication.
This year's male athlete is also very focused and serious about his karate. This recipient is unlike the others that we have had in the past. He practices daily and trains hard, and he competes in both kata, kumite, and shindo. Not that unusual, is it? Except for the fact that he is in his 70s, a rokodan, and he is far from his instructor and local dojo. Our nominator describes this athlete as always being hungry for more. Please join me to congratulate this year's Males Athlete Awards recipient, Sensei Rangi Koro. This year's female athlete is always the first student to arrive to class. She is a quiet leader with a smile and welcoming attitude when greeting students. She is a fierce competitor with work ethics far beyond her years, and she inspires younger students to compete like she does. She medals in the tournaments she attends consistently, but is still very humble. She has competed at Capital Conquest and attended tournaments in Ontario, Alberta, and Quebec. Our nominator noted that she represents the best of our young athletes within and outside of the SWKKF. Please join me in congratulating this year's Female Athlete Awards recipient, Ariana Mack.
Congratulations to both Ariana and to Sensei Randy. Our third highlight video is from Sensei Bill Hines. Sensei Bill Hines began his karate training with the Millwoods Karate Club in 1990, and Sensei Shintani awarded Sensei Bill the rank of Shodan in October of 1995. Sensei Bill has been training continuously since 1995 and was awarded the rank of Rokudan in 2026. He took over the Millwoods Karate Club in 2005. He is the Alberta Provincial Representative and the Chair of the Provincial Representatives and has received the SWKKF Reach Award for Leadership. Sensei Bill continues to be a student of karate.
I'm Bill Hines, and I'm with the Millwoods Karate Club in Edmonton. Thanks for inviting me to speak about Sensei Shintani. During the early and mid-1990s, Sensei Shintani came to our dojo once or twice a year to conduct seminars. Most of what you've probably heard about Sensei Shintani is about his karate, how good he was on the dojo floor, and how effective his karate was, as it should be. This will be a little bit different. I've had the pleasure of attending dinners where Sensei Shintani was the featured guest. He had a commanding presence, and like all great leaders, he was a charismatic charmer. When Sensei Shintani entered a room, everyone noticed. He always took the time to meet new people and made everyone feel welcome. He relished telling jokes and had a very subtle sense of humor. People always wanted to sit near him during dinners so they could hear his stories. I remember he spoke about what life was like for a boy in the internment camp in British Columbia during the Second World War. While in the internment camp, he met martial arts practitioner Kitagawa. Sensei Shintani spoke about how difficult and brutal his training was in the internment camp and explained he didn't have pads to strike. Instead, they used trees. He spoke about his trips to Japan to compete in karate tournaments, and on one occasion, another karateka deliberately tried to injure him. This was not just a friendly tournament. Sensei Shintani's spirit and practical martial arts training served him well while in Japan, and this drew the attention of Sensei Otsuka. He often spoke about Sensei Otsuka's friendship with fondness and how much this meant to him. He spoke about using his martial arts training outside of competition. On one occasion, he couldn't talk his way out of a confrontation. recognized it was turning dangerous, and used his martial arts training to trounce his attacker. There was always a practicality and realism to Sensei Shintani's karate. I'd like to leave you with one Sensei Shintani lesson I've learned. Never take anyone for granted. Appreciate people. Learn all you can about them, because if you don't, someday you may wish that you had. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei Bill. Our final Reach Award of the evening is the Contributor Award. This award recognizes an individual who truly made a difference to the SWKKF through their contribution to committees, governance, policy development, or financial sustainability within the SWKKF.
This year's recipient received multiple nominations, probably the most that we have seen for one person in the history of this award. This is unusual, as their contribution has quietly taken place in the background. Many of you may not even be aware that these projects are taking place, but their impact on the SWKKF will be profound in protecting the SWKKF. While this isn't glamorous work, it has been a significant investment of expertise, time, energy, and sometimes a lot of persuasion. You will notice there's touch on the SWKKF strategic plan, the website development plan, and most importantly, our SWKKF policies. As one nominator wrote, she volunteers her time and looks for no credit. Just the satisfaction of knowing the SWKKF can move into the future with a solid structure. Her dedication, professionalism, and commitment to straightening governance and the future of the SWKKF make her truly deserving of this recognition. Please join me in congratulating Sensei Cynthia Brockbank as this year's Contributor Awards recipient.
Congratulations, Sensei Cynthia. And as a side note, it has been an absolute pleasure to work with you. All right, as these awards presentations come to a close, I would like to thank Sensei Chris, Sensei Denise, and Sensei Bill for sharing their memories of Sensei Shintani and our Wado Kai with us. Congratulations to all of our tournament organizers, especially Sensei Rod Phillip, Sensei Ann Reedhead, Sensei Tom Foster, Sensei Katrina Marquis, Sensei Brandon Marquis, Sensei Kyle Chambers, Sensei Karen Atkinson, and Sensei Jim Atkinson, as well as all of the participants and the winners.
Thank you very much, Sensei Deb Beverly, for all the work that you've done with the Reach Award program. We've had a wonderful day, a great turnout at the tournament, and thanks again, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, Sensei Dennis, for presenting these Reach Awards to these well-deserving karateka. And thank you to all of those who took time and effort to acknowledge and enter those nominations. I say this every year. There are so many within this organization who do great things. And I would like to acknowledge those who were also nominated in these categories for their outstanding contribution and hard work. And you will see their names come up on the screen. So here is my plug for 2027. Be on the lookout. Please nominate and fill up these categories with our amazing volunteers and acknowledge their contributions, big and small. Finally, I would like to thank Sensei Alice for the marketing throughout the year on these awards, and to Sensei Scott Knowles and Sensei Bernadine Judgett, who, as always, are our technical producers extraordinaire. Without them, this broadcast would not be possible, and they make putting all of this together so stress-free for me. Tonight was truly a wonderful celebration of all that is Sensei Shintani and the SWKKF. Have a very great evening, everyone.
Good night.